sweetest feeling for Rotherham United.
Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us as pre-season, well, the first defeat of pre-season, as expected, against the good Sheffield United side, coming to New York Stadium to do as they do. At least it was only 2 this year. I suppose that's something. We're going to talk about that briefly. We're going to talk about Sam Nombe leaving. We're going to talk about the fact we've got less than 2 weeks away from a competitive season, and there are currently 12 players on the books. And anything else, I think that's probably it. That'll take us through to an hour or so, I would have thought. Mixed back, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Thank you. You?
Yeah, very, very good. Scott's back. How you going, Scott?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
And Tom is back. How's it going, Tom? Tom is on mute. So Tom is there. We can all see him. That's as far as it goes, I think.
Yeah.
We've had a week off, and this is obviously what we've come back to. We'll see what happens with Tom. Tom, we were speaking to Tom a minute ago before we got going live. You're unmuted, Tom. Can you speak?
Yeah. So for some reason, the intro to the entire thing played now, so my mic got muted, which was yeah. I'm all good though. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. Good to have you with us. In the comments, good evening, one and all. Says YouTube for what I've seen yesterday. We'll be okay in League 2. Yes, need more bodies and a striker, definitely. Paul Chadwick says, evening, all this is a joke, still no signings. Miller 60 evening, everybody. How many do we think will be coming in next week? Bowers with us, as if Derek Carroll Steve. Loads of people in the comments already. Thank you for being with us. We have varying levels of people that watched the game yesterday. We have me, who didn't watch any minutes, Scott, who watched a bit, Mick, who watched most of the second half, and Tom, did you watch it all?
I watched the entire game for my sins.
So we've got a great mix.
I needed a fix.
Yeah. A great mix of people watching the game yesterday. So let's start with the game, and then we'll come on to the transfer stuff, which obviously has been the action outgoing. But Tom, 2-0 defeat, obviously at home Sheffield United, as we mentioned. I was kind of thinking that it's going to be a 5 or 6-0 like it was last year. It sounded like it was much more competitive than we were all expecting.
Yeah, no, it was. It was a rough first half. I'll say that, and not in a bad way. Just Sheffield United were clearly on top. Really, defended well. Limited them to 1 goal, which, bless him, that left back did not look like a defender. The trialist, and just kept into it. Really. It was okay, but the second half was miles better. So if you've watched the second half, that was where Rotherham were really impressive. First half, we defended all right, if not well. I don't think Sheffield United really came to play in that first half. I'd be very worried if I was a United fan going into next season. But having said that, I think we deserve something out of that. I know, well, speaking pre-season tense, but we weren't down and out in the mud. And honestly, I think a lot of that goes to Bruce and Agnew, because to have 7 trialists and a team of players who, even though they were here last season, didn't really play together and put out a performance like they did with commitment and endeavour and they really, kind of battled and fought. It was competitive, which is all that you can ask for as a Rotherham fan. And then Sheffield United scored 2 really nice goals, and that's the difference between Championship and League 2. And you got to give heaps of praise for Alex Bruce, which is unfortunate because if he's getting treated the way that he is, he might not be here much longer. So really, really big praise for a few individuals, but I think mainly Bruce. I think it's proof that he can get something out of a team that at the moment is a shambles. So we'll see.
Yeah. Scott says decent game. He adds that Jamie Jellis is a baller. He always hit the bar. Which was a highlight, so you'll see him hit the bar. JJ08 UCM says Brandon Willens here a month, no contract. Why is this? Yeah, interesting to see what happens with him in the next week or so. Had us on a different topic, is the new intro coming next week or next week? We'll have a new intro the week leading up to the league season start. We're working out some kinks. Let's put it that way.
You can be honest, Matt.
Well, we've been given a song by the person that sang the song, and apparently YouTube didn't like that.
No.
So we're working on it. Bear with us on that one. Back to football, and you actually we mentioned you watched the second half. So by what Tom saying, you watched the much better half for us. We can go messages yesterday. It sounds like you were pretty positive coming out of the game.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. Given, and like Tom's just said there, given 7 trialists and probably more, I don't know, I lost count, to be honest, but over the whole 90 minutes, I'm sure there must have been more than 7. It certainly felt like it. Yeah. But like I said in the group chat, there were a couple of instances of hoofball, but not very much. There was some decent play. It felt to me like there's some decent play. How we missed Keane Spence last season is it's ridiculous. And Jamie Jellis, as Scott's mentioned there in the comment, they're like the same player. For me, they were like having 2 of them in midfield. They were excellent. Jellis particularly. That was a great effort at the bar. It would have been an absolute stunner had it gone in. I was. Look, we've talked ourselves into the pits of despair of it somewhere, haven't we? So I think the fact that we didn't lose 8-0 is probably we're always going to be a bonus to us because that's how it felt. But we're quite pleasantly surprised, put it that way.
What was it in terms of setup? Because you watched most of the game. What formation? Look at from the highlights, it looked like a back 4. But the rest of the highlights, it's impossible to work out. What did you take from it in terms? You watched most of the game, Tom. What did you take in terms of setup?
4-3-3. But which surprises me because if you look at the kind of personnel that we have and what Bruce did at Salford, I was expecting the sort of games where we stepped it up to be that 3-5-2 formation, which is what Salford played last season, just because that's what Bruce knows how to play and knows it's effective, and assigned players to fit in that system. So, there were a few players that looked a little rusty and or a bit iffy, and that's where the kind of quality between us and a championship side will obviously show. But there was some real good players. Jellis was. Let's hope he brings that into next season because that's the version of Jellis that Walsall fans had in that season that they almost went up. It must have been because he was immense, and him alongside Spence, they're just the same. They look the exact same as well. Like when they're on the pitch, they both have the hair and the same height and same like running style. It's ridiculous. Yeah, you can't see a difference. But there was some really good, some really good play, and as Mick said, I think it's going to take a while before this team gels because we're still getting players in. There was still a bit of hoofball. There was still making sure it didn't stay within the white lines. But there were times when we got the ball on the floor. We looked confident in possession, which is we haven't done for a while. Sometimes things didn't come off, and it didn't matter them. What impressed me was like how they reacted. The press was quite good. And I think Jellis and Spence are a key part of that because they just don't stop running. Tavares I really liked as well. So the 4 new boys that played were of a good quality. We just need more of them. And ideally, you would have had about 4 or 5 more in at this point anyway. So if we can get another 6 in before West Brom, I'd be more optimistic than I am right now. But I was pleasantly surprised with how good the patterns of play looked and how the team was shaping up. We looked defensively solid. Structure was there, and then kind of attacking impetus in the second half was quite good. So you'd be happy with that as a manager, I think. But obviously he wasn't.
No. Well, I think he was happy with the performance. We'll come on to
I think he was. But there was other aspects.
Yes. Scott, we watched the last 20 minutes or so of the game. I assume you're kind of similar to Mick, that you saw kind of a positive side of the game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I was keeping up with X updates, and like I said, leading into this, I thought this was the game. Because I went to Matlock last week with my 5 and 7-year-old who aren't really that into football. I had to explain, prior to the match, I had to explain that we're a professional team and this is a semi-professional team. And the 5-year-old did ask me a question at one point saying, "Are we the professional team?" Because and I was really worried last week. So yeah, when I put it on, I think it was 1-0. We were 1-0 down. But yeah, I think we did look a lot better than I expected. And like everyone said, that Jealous looks a really good player. He kind of reminded me a bit of Spencer Powell mixed up. I thought he had a bit. He's kind of got that rattiness that Spencer's got, but he seems to have got a bit more going forward, which is good because like Powell, kind of good on the eye, but didn't really, other than set pieces, come up with anything. But yeah, we're just so lacking up front, aren't we? I mean, that's stating the obvious when we've not got a striker, I don't think, on the books, unless you're counting Tavares. But it were kind of good up to the 25, 30 yards out, and then it was just like the Jealous shot obviously was well worked. He worked that for himself, but there was just nothing up front. And that's obviously where I am stating the obvious. That's where we're massively lacking.
Yeah, I think that's such a fair point, because I like Tavares, but when he was through the middle, he was so ineffective, couldn't get in the game, and then he went out left, and he was really good, bright, going forward, defensively tracked back, looked really quick, direct, and then he brought that. Is it Anderson, the other trialist? And he looked like a bit of a handful, but again, you want something kind of else alongside that. I think the midfield and the kind of the centre halves are okay for now. We just need to focus on that kind of, full back area and up and through the middle, because it's not easy to get a good player as a striker at this level. So we're going to be looking for kids, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but it's a good base. If this plays out how yesterday sounds, to get yourself solid, you're going to be in lots of games, aren't you? Man, it sounds like it might not be going to be pretty, but you're going to be really solid, hopefully. Scott Kent has also thought Sonny Ali Joffrey. Al Joffrey. Oh, that was. I knew it was a bad effort when I said it, to be honest. Al Joffrey looked decent. Nick's
I agree with that. I thought it looked pretty solid. I thought it looked a good signing. Him, if we can get him.
He actually
45 minutes, obviously.
He looked okay, albeit against Matlock. I think he started at right back last week against Matlock, and then went to centre half in the second half, I think, and he looked okay.
Yeah, he does. It does worry me though his age, and not because of like he might be crap with his age, and I'd love to get a young player who looks as good as him, but at League Two, I do worry that we've got quite a young back line and they might get bullied a little bit.
Need some experience, desperately need some experience in a lot of places. Nick says, I hope we can keep Denzel too. Tavares is a tricky player with a decent spine, which need to add a few positions when others and others who come off the bench. Yeah, we do. Is there anything else on the game you guys want to mention? Any stand-up moments, worries, before we kind of come on to the less positive stuff?
I think overall we can be a little bit more sort of placated, and it indicates. I don't really want to be saying this, but I will. One of the reasons potentially why we've not got the signings in is because they've not found the right players. The ones that they have signed appear to be good signings based on very little, obviously, but you can see the type of player that they're aiming for, and we're not just going to get any old dross, which unfortunately for the last 2 or 3 years we've had to do that, and it seems like they're holding out at the moment. We've only got 2 weeks; they can't hold out much longer, and we might end up with some Gisbert bosses in here, but we'll see.
Less than 2 weeks now to the West Brom game. Less than 3 for the league season starting. Right, let's move on. We might go back to the game, but let's move on to kind of the serious business, really. Let's start with what I think is a positive. Let's start with the Sam Nombe deal, Mick. Paul Davis has reported today that it's a guaranteed 600k with roughly another 400k in add-ons. So just under £1 million is what we'll get if all the add-ons are hit. That's a really, really... There's no choice. For me, that's a really, really good deal. Whoever's negotiated that from Rotherham United end has done a fantastic job, I think. But what is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Stuart will have been hoping to get his money back, and if everything, if all the add-ons are hit, then he'll get his money back, and he might get a decent cruise out of it. We'll have to wait and see. Whether we get any players out of it is another matter, isn't it? And that's the key to this. Look, it's a good move for Sam Nombe. He shouldn't be playing in League Two, but on the flip side of it, has he really repaid the transfer fee? When you actually look at him, I mean, I'm not sure how many goals he's scored, but he ain't been a prolific striker, has he?
No.
I know he does a lot of other stuff as well. So it's a good move for him, and it's a good deal for us. But ...
There is also a sell-on clause that apparently Paul Davis has reported as well, which again is another really, really good bit of business. We'll come on to the kind of the specifics of the knock-on effects in a minute, Scott, because they are the really important bit. But I'm first of all, I'm assuming Steve McLaren's played a massive role in this deal, and if he has, I've got to kind of take my hat off to him a little bit, because Sam Nombe is the kind of player that would have gone for 500k 12 months ago from Rotherham United. Probably in January this year. We've been a club that historically have been terrible at selling players for not even market value, for well below market value. And I think Mick's right. I think we've probably got a bit more than it's probably worth. And for Rotherham United, that is just unheard of.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, that's probably the first time ever that we've actually done that. And it's probably the worst time ever that we've actually held on for the right price, because by sounds of it, this has held everything up. And we don't even know if this, like we said, we're going to get onto this, we don't even know if this money is actually going to be used. But yeah, I suppose if you take everything else out of it and just focus purely on the sale, then yeah, I think we've got the best price we possibly could, given he's got 1 year left. If rumours are true, he kind of wanted to be gone in January time. He was injured a lot last season, so it kind of just made sense to cash in and cash in well, which we seem to have done.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, you're going down to League Two, Tommy. Again, it would have been very easy for a club like us to kind of cash in quickly, because we do need the players, and there's an argument to say we should have done. But they held out, and £1 million for Sam Nombe is probably his value. What's your view on the value, and if it's over, slightly under? What do you reckon?
I think. I mean, it will rise, but I think 600,000 is not a bad shout in the first place. I think if you had 600 rising to 700 for a League Two side to sell a striker for that amount, I don't think is outrageous. So I think 600 in and of itself is a good deal, and then to add on top of that a sell-on clause as well as getting up to the £1 million mark, I think is excellent negotiating, and probably was what took it so long was trying to get those numbers sorted. So fair enough for the negotiating. I think it's for a man who's got a year left on his deal to get the same amount of money that you put into him, more or less, is pretty good wheeling and dealing, I guess. And if he does manage to kick off with MK Dons and score 20, 25 goals next season, and they fail to go up, and Preston or Charlton come calling for him in the season after in the Championship or something, and he goes for 4 or 5 million and we get a quarter of that, then that's really, really good business. So I think it was worth holding out as long as we did, albeit I think I would have hoped that we would have been prepared for when it did happen, because it was inevitable. We seem to be a little bit still unaware of what's going on, not just the fans. I mean, the coaching staff don't seem to know what's going on, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think Nombe is an excellent player, but for $1 million, I think you take your hands off immediately. He's got his limitations as well as he's got his pros. So 100%. take 600k at this moment in time, and if it reaches 1 million, then that's even better negotiating.
Yeah, I agree. Contrasting views. Royce says Nombe didn't have the service, had to on its own, whereas Rob Dixon calls him a £1 million dud. Just some of his time up for us, Mick. £1 million, first ever £1 million player. Still, I'm probably for the foreseeable future will be our record signing. Didn't hit the heights of what we wished, but was a solid enough player.
Yeah, I'm kind of sorry about this, Rob. I'm kind of erring on agreeing with Rob. £1 million, nah. You know, he's flattered to deceive. Unfortunately, I appreciate last season he were injured, but he never really hit his straps, did he? I don't know how many goals he scored for us, but did he get double figures in a season at all?
He got 12 last year.
Right.
He got 15 the season before.
Yeah. So realistically at this level, at League One level, it's not enough for £1 million player. You know, there's players coming in from non-league scoring 20 plus goals at League Two and League One level. So yeah, I know he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, but yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right, but I would have wanted more from our first £1 million player.
Yeah, 115 league appearances, 29 goals, plus 2 goals in the cups as well, so 31 goals total over that. So
you know what Sam Nombe is so good at, and our sort of caliber at this moment in time can't afford it. But if a Leicester was to buy him, or someone with just a bit more money who can afford £1 million, and it doesn't really affect the Bucks, to bring him in and play him for the last 20 minutes of a game when you're chasing it, when you're bringing him on to relieve pressure, just someone to run the channel, never stop pressurizing the defense, just someone to get the crowd up. He did that so much. He was a better player coming off the bench for us, weirdly enough, than he was starting games, especially this last season just gone when he was coming back from injury those few times. If you can afford to spend £1 million on him, which is a lot of money, and I agree with Mick, I don't think he's worth £1 million in this day and age. If you can afford to spend that, like a Leicester, and just whatever it is, and bring him on for 20 minutes of a game when you're 2-1 up, or you're trailing by a goal, and you need someone to kind of ignite it and chase down lost causes, then he's your man, because I've not seen anyone do that side of the game better than him. However, his ability on the ball was to be desired, but he got goals, and maybe in a better team or a different team than what he was working with, because in these last 3 years he has arguably had the worst 3 years I've seen as a Rotherham side. Maybe you would have done better, but yeah, I think Mick's right. He wasn't worth that £1 million, because you just expect to do better.
Tom's mentioned it in the comments here. Let's just say you've got a chance as a League One player, as a League One team, to spend £1 million. Are you going to spend it on Alfie, or are you going to spend it on Sam Nombe?
Yeah, 100%.
It's an absolute no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd have Alfie back today.
Yeah.
Let's see what he does. I think he's a Warney type player. I think he's got the energy. He's got Dan Barlaster putting balls in a sixpence from next season as well. We should all be hoping that he goes on to and does score 25 goals next year.
100%.
Goal for a fortune the year after, and that's going to benefit Rotherham United. So we should, from a selfish point of view, we should all be wishing him well.
Definitely.
We're all eating a bit of humble pie this time next year, or whenever the case may be. To Harris's tap-ins and penalties, the only good goal when we scored was the Bolton away, which was a belter.
It was.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's move on. Sam Nombe's gone. Good luck to him.
Yeah.
But this is where I suspect the most of this episode is going to take us, Scott, is what next? There's obviously nothing confirmed, but the consensus has been, right, we're waiting for this money from Sam Nombe so we can actually sign some players. Because to be in July the 26th and still only sign 4 permanent players is a shambles. There's no two ways to kind of sugarcoat that. Where I suppose when you sit on the money coming in, there's 600k guaranteed cash coming in, so we know what's coming in. Do you see that? Do you see that being invested this week?
No, to be honest. And hearing Alex Bruce's interview after the match, in his own words, he doesn't even know what he's getting, which is worrying considering. I mean, it was conflicting when McLaren came in because McLaren said one thing and Tony Stewart sat next to him said a different thing. But McLaren said he knows the budget, he knows what he's got to be working with. So this has kind of contradicted everything straight away because surely, if that's true, we know what the budget is, and we'll have had the discussion with Tony Stewart and said, whatever money we make, do we get it all back in the budget or whatever? So we should know what we've got. And like I said, this has always been happening. Unless Nombe broke down in training and got injured, they're always going to leave. It might be we've just literally been hanging on for 100,000 here or a better sell-on clause or whatever it is. So no, to answer it, no, I don't think it's all going to get spent, to be honest. I do think we will get some players in, but I think there's going to become a time where, like I said, the 4 players that we've signed, from the small bits I've seen, look decent. But we just need numbers in. We really do. It's going to come to a stage where we just need numbers in to actually fill a squad, because we were talking about it earlier about the spine of the team, but we're talking about a spine of a team of Lenny, the centre-half from Norwich that we signed, who were both injured on and off majority of last season. Kean Spence, who were injured majority last season. Denzel Hall, who were injured majority last season.
Yeah.
I get what people are saying on paper. It looks good, but it's so weak. It's built on such fragile foundations, and we just need to get the numbers in.
Yeah, we do. Harry thinks that everybody on trial will be offered a contract with the non-bay money. Rob A says club is treading water until Sonny meets Stewart's asking price to buy the club, as he no longer needs it, the less it is worth. Miller says, it seems odd that we criticise the delayed signings and we did exactly the same when Evans signed players. What is the best direction? There's patience, Tom, and then there's less than 2 weeks before a competitive ball is kicked. If we, I don't think any of us were kind of kicking off saying there was no signs made by the end of May, probably even the end of June. But like I mentioned, it's the 26th of July. These pre-season games, particularly the Sheffield United and Derby. Darlington one's a bit of just a ticking over one, but the Sheffield United and Derby ones are the ones where you test your best-ish 11 for an hour against a competitive team, and you see what you've got. We can't do that at the minute, and that's a shambles.
Yeah, I bless some of these trialists, but they are only here to fit. To make sure that the squad reaches a quota, because some of them are just not fit for League Two, let alone Rotherham. So I don't know what we're thinking with some of these trialists. But having said that, when Nombe was inevitably sold, you did hope that there was 4 or 5 players ready, locked and loaded, contract signed, just needing that final payment, and that 600,000 will get them over the line. 100,000 each, some of them on a free, whatever it may be, and just get them over the line. It doesn't even seem like Bruce knows his budget, let alone his players. So then once he's been told how much he can spend, then he can go out and approach the players to do it, which we all know with Rotherham takes until next week. So whether or not we get anyone in these next 2 weeks, I'm not entirely confident. There are a few of those trialists that you wouldn't mind signing. Al Joffrey did himself no disservice. I think Brandon Williams is someone that you take a gamble on. Players such as them, you would just pad out the squad with them, I guess. But 7 trialists in one game is borderline unheard of in an EFL.
I don't think I've seen that.
I don't think I've ever
seen it for us, definitely. Anyway,
I don't think I've ever seen it for an EFL club. I think you see it in non-league a lot, but I don't think you ever see it in EFL standards. And what does it mean? What is the strategy? Because you can't be looking at all these 7 players and going, yeah, we'll give them all a go, and then we'll pick the ones that we like, because those are the 7 that we just had on one game. We've had 4 that have gone off to do other things that we've said, now you're all right, you can go. that's a full 11 you could pick from of just trialists. So unless A, we don't know what our strategy is and who we're trying to get, or B, we're just trying to pad out the squad whilst we get over the line with these preseason friendlies, I've got no idea. But as I keep saying, both Alex Bruce and Steve McLaren have disregarded these friendlies and the West Brom game as being games. Their first game is Cheltenham. So if they get all their players in by Cheltenham, that will be when the season starts for them. So that is their goal. Whether or not this was always the plan and just wait for the non-pay money to sell and then you start going. But again, it's silly because, as you say, Matt, not only are these games against United and Derby County big games to get your big players fit and sharp again, but also how I don't understand how you can wait so long and expect the players that you want not to be picked up or looked after. You know, there's so many players that aren't going to wait around. So I don't know what our plan is for this inevitability. You know, it also doesn't help that rumors dry up, which obviously happens, but and rumors don't mean a lot in this day and age. But when rumors start to dry up, you know that there's nothing coming out of the club.
Yeah. Has everybody else lost Tom, or is this just me?
Yeah, no, I can't hear Tom either. Chatting away.
It was working so well.
Yeah.
We'll get back. We'll. Is he engaged with himself?
Who knows?
Who knows? I can't. Anyway, we'll get because his mic's not connected. We'll get Tom back. People have mentioned Brendan Williams. Brendan Williams has been on trial since the Parkgate game, so you would assume that there's something going on there. Seriously, I think Tom's back.
Yeah, I'm going to smash this laptop soon. It's awful.
I don't know where you go up to either.
No, I don't. Well, obviously I don't. All I'm trying to say, I'm filled with confidence behind Bruce and Agnew.
Yeah.
I think they've proved themselves to be pretty adequate coaches. They put a structured team out that knew their tasks, ran hard for each other against Sheffield United. Just the quality wasn't quite there. If they can bring in 6 players by West Brom, I'll be happy with that, and I'll shake their hands and say, I'm glad that you wait. You know, I'm fair enough you waited this long, but I've not got hope that that's the I've not got hope that that's going to happen. I think the players that they want, I think, have gone, which is why we've got so many trialists.
Yeah, you'd assume a lot of the best free transfers would already been snapped up. That's kind of how it works, really. We'll have kind of picking up what's left, which is what it is, you know. But what's your take? I don't know if you listened to Alex Bruce's interview yesterday, mate, but it was kind of in the same theme as every other interview this season. He's cutting a very frustrated figure at the minute. He implied that he hasn't been told how much of the non-pay money he's going to get. That was he might have been playing it down a little bit for clubs not trying to rinse us for cash, to be fair. He might have been trying to play it smart a little bit. But I felt the frustration coming out of the man. Well, and put yourself in his shoes, I guess. You know, when 2 weeks out from season start and you've got four new signings, 12 players in total, just sold your best striker. I think frustration would be, that's a light way of putting out I'd be feeling.
Yeah, I think so. You're going to be, aren't you? You're going to be. It's almost as if we're not aligned from top to bottom, isn't it? But and, you know, we go back to the interviews with Steve McLaren, the last 2, where we're all talking about alignment from top to bottom. We all know, and we all predicted at the time of the first interview when he came out with that nonsense, that there was never going to be any alignment with Tony Stewart. You ain't going to align him with a successful football club. What you're going to align him with is saving money. And the two things are not compatible, unfortunately. You know, so I'm not surprised he's frustrated, because he will have missed out on targets, much like every other manager up and down the country. You know, loads of them will have missed out on targets. However, I don't think he even, well, I believe, and I've obviously no evidence to back this up whatsoever. It's only my own speculation, but I don't think he has any idea how much money he's got to spend, if he's got any to spend, because I think we're still in the same situation where he goes, right, we've got this trial list on Johnny Smith trial list. We want to sign him. Right, make an appointment with Tony Stewart. See if you can get hold of him next Wednesday at 11:30 while 25 to 12, and see if he'll authorise it. And I think that's probably where we still are, because we ain't aligned. We ain't aligned at all, and we ain't gonna be while ever this regime is in charge of the football club any longer, unfortunately. So I'm not surprised he cuts a frustrated figure. Hopefully, I'm like Tom. I'm more than willing to get behind him. Absolutely, I am, because I think he's a young coach, and I think he's got some potential, and he's got a lot of backing in terms of experience behind him to advise him. So I really, really want him to be successful. But again, like Matt Hamshaw before him, he's going to be working with both hands tied behind his back, it would appear. So,
yeah. Well, to be fair, I think there's alignment below Tony Stewart. I think the footballing side of things, McLaren downwards, I think.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to say in it, because we want to see in little bits, but the evidence of who we've signed is positive. The players are positive. Like I said, we've already talked about the deal that we've got for Nombe being a very good deal. Those are aspects that you would think, they all make sense. Obviously, it's just a lack of that.
There's clear alignment on the footballing side. There's absolutely no doubt about that, But, when you've got to go to chairman to buy a packet of bog roll, we've got no chance of buying players, have we? So, it's just embarrassing. But anyway, we've covered this till we're blue in face and depressed the life out of ourselves and everybody else since June, haven't we? Since May. So it's about the football. It's got to be about the football, and we've got to try and be positive and hope that the manager and director of football can get enough quality and enough quantity in before 2 weeks' time. We've still got 2 weeks. We've still got a month. We've still got 2 months. We've still got, Friday before West Brom game, we're going to be saying we've still got 24 hours.
Yeah. Chris Ellis says, isn't Steve McLaren in charge now, taking over from Tony Stewart? McLaren's making a lot of decisions, but he's not in charge. He's not in charge of the budget. He's given a budget to work within. And if there's nothing extra in the budget, you need players. Tom Swift said, at least the stadium's had a wash, which is true. Miller says, we lost 90k a week last season. Who paid that, Mick? Let Tony Stewart splash the cash, and let's see where we are in 2 years' time.
It's not that simple, though, is it?
No.
That's a very black and white way of looking at it. Because 4 years ago, we were in Championship. We were 8th in Championship. We were raking the money in. We weren't losing money then, But because of the poor decisions made by the board, we are now in League Two, and all the whole reason, that the whole blame that we are in this position financially and footballing wise sits fairly and squarely at the feet of the chairman. Nobody else, in my view. He is the one that has allowed it to get to this stage. So, I'm not asking him to be spending millions and millions of pounds. Never have done. And I think if you listen back through the years of podcasts we've done, we've all said we don't want him spending millions and millions of pounds. We're happy that the club's being run sustainably, but it's not being run sustainably anymore, is it?
No,
because it's not being run.
No, and also to add, Rob's point is really good. I'm fed up of hearing the club's in debt to Stewart. The only debt we accrued is from his vanity project, which was with Steve Evans. How much of that 90k a week? Because how much money that he wanted to spend on Steve Evans. That's not Steve Evans' fault. Steve Evans would give the cash. He's going to spend it. That's on Tony Stewart. Vanity project is a really, really good word for that one, Rob. That was what Tony Stewart wanted to do, and now he's gone. Well, I'm not bothered anymore. I just don't care.
And he's not putting any money in, which I get. I don't know. Listen, again, I have no problem whatsoever with him saying, "It's my money. I've earned it." Absolutely, yeah, fella. Sell it then.
Yeah, well, but then this brings us on to the Sam Nombe deal. Obviously, it's a slight loss in what the money we paid originally, but it should be pointed out that the money for Sam Nombe's purchase came from selling an academy product in Ben Wiles. So Ben Wiles was sold to fund the Sam Nombe deal, which is how it worked. That wasn't £1 million put in by Tony Stewart.
No,
that was an academy product being sold. So this next week, Scott, becomes a really, really, really important week for me. We have to start seeing movement. We have to start seeing signings, or we're all going to start asking, where's the money gone? We know the 600k on table now. Can't hide from that. We now need to see it being used on the football side of things.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of just going on to what's just been getting said, Tony Stewart needs to kind of drop this act of, the interview that he did with Radio Sheffield when McLaren were an absolute car crash. You can't come out with something saying, more season tickets you sell, the better striker you'll get. Well, at the minute, we haven't got a striker. Just drop all this Billy Big stuff kind of thing. And if we've got no money, which kind of clearly we haven't, or he doesn't want to put any more in, just say that. Kind of set the expectations, because if you come out and say we've got a mid-table budget or whatever, then that's fine. But his words don't match what he says when he actually says something. It's that I think that's the frustration. And somebody said in the comments about season ticket prices. We are we paying the second highest season ticket prices? We sold.
I think I'm the highest in League Two.
Highest.
I think.
I mean, we sold over 5,000. I don't know if we had discussed this on podcast, but I would predict we'd sell something like 3,000. I'm shocked. I mean, I've got a season ticket, so I'm one of the deluded people as well, But I'm shocked we've sold as many season tickets as what we have. But yeah, I think everything kind of coming out like Alex Bruce's interviews is clearly the frustration. It's kind of simmering. I think that was the first interview that he did where you could kind of really tell the frustration. And he said, I'm the kind of person that'll be a pain in the arse, I think he said, and going to the chairman. I think there's got to be movement, hasn't there? We need numbers, but if we just fill this squad in now with trialists and frees, then it kind of confirms what we all pretty much already know, that the money's just got swallowed up and he's taking it back from what he's put in over the years.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, if Tony Stewart stays, this club goes under. I don't think there's any. Look, there can't be any doubt about it. It ain't going to go anywhere upwards unless he's very, very, very lucky that we managed to sign 7 trialists, all of whom are potential messes. It ain't going to happen. He is not going to put any more money into this football club. He is not going to do that. And I'll be honest, I kind of don't blame him. I don't have a problem with it at all. If you don't want to do it and you can't afford it, not a problem. It's an expensive money pit, but let it go. You've got to let it go. Because if you don't, and we continue through this season with Karen from accounts in charge of whatever money's spent at this football club, we are in major, major trouble. Maybe not this season, maybe not next. But if it continues without it changing behind the scenes, there's only one way. There is only one way.
I don't even think it's to do with money not coming in from his personal bank account. It's money to do with reinvesting, because Martha was about 200k.
Well, you got this one.
Yeah,
highest 600k World Cup money. Yeah,
about 2 million from season ticket sales already, just based on 400. £400 a ticket, 5,000 sold. That's about 2 million quid. I don't understand what I don't understand it. It's if it's not money reinvested, obviously you lose money from the TV sales, but you freed up wage from all those big hitters. Kelly, James, Raggett weren't going to be on nothing, so you freed up wage. You've got 2 million coming in maybe. to that not be reinvested, I don't know where it's going, unless it's in McLaren's pocket because we're giving him so much money to be director of football, and that was the enticement. God knows, but I don't think he has to put in money. He just has to be okay with not getting any money from Rotherham United, which I don't think he is.
No, that's the question, isn't it? We know there's money coming into the football club. We're not sat here with no assets. We've sold his assets. We've sold his season tickets. We know the money we got from Martha. We, as fans, know there is money in the football club. So we're not asking Tony Stewart to put money in the football club. He doesn't need to. Every club in League One, in League Two this season, would be very happy to have raked in £1 million combined for the sale of Nombe and Ajani Martha as World Cup, roughly. They would be over the moon with that kind of cash. So why are we not? Why are we not buzzing, saying we've got a great budget, we've got an extra £1 million on top of the original budget we had in the first place? So, Tony, we don't need your cash. We've got our own from a footballing perspective. So where's it gone?
See what Karen says.
Yeah.
But then we're down the route of taking money out of the football club, aren't we?
Yeah.
We know the money's there. So if this money doesn't get sent, he is taking money out of the football club. And that is a massive problem. That is not just not investing his own money. That's not, I don't really care anymore. If that happens, he is actively taking money away from the fans and from the football club.
Well, we'll have to see. That's
pretty serious.
That's speculation at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The next week is when we kind of find out.
To that.
Absolutely, it's going to be a really important week to find that out. Really important.
But again, if you put it in perspective, that 600k to $1 million from Nombe doesn't it wasn't a big. It's a good deal and it will bring in 2 or 3 players potentially, but the money before that was still there. We still freed up the wage budget. We still had the 5,000 season tickets sold. We still had the merchandise, the sponsors. We still had all that money in before Nombe went, and we still weren't making any movements with budget or bringing players in. Obviously, Nombe was a quarter of that, but he was expected to come in and he was expected to leave anyway. So why couldn't this already have been happening with the money that we did have that should have been reinvested? That's where the kind of worry lies, is that it's not the Nombe money in an isolation. It's everything around it, and it didn't really felt like Nombe's was an extra piece. Oh, we can get 2 more players, or we can get a luxury player because of this. But we're already 5 steps behind.
Yeah, we are. Paul Chadwick says, no goalkeeping coach has been with us a month, still no announcement. We still don't officially have a goalkeeping coach. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure the guy's working at the football club, but he's not been announced.
We're probably not paying him.
There's been no communication again. Communication's gone. It's dried up again. And if we don't get any signings this week, I would venture to suggest that we'll have to have another lecture on alignment, strategy, and everything else from Steve McLaren by Friday.
Well, to kind of move on to that, Rob A says, fed up hearing McLaren making appeals as well to appeal to buy season tickets. 5,000 people have bought them at the highest price in League Two with 12 players a few weeks from the season. I praised Steve McLaren a bit ago, Scott, in terms of the Nombe deal. I now got to come back on that a little bit and say that piece in the Yorkshire Post was a really, really ill thought out few comments. Really, we need the fans to trust we need a leap of faith. Was the one that made me laugh and angry at the same time. This football club do not deserve a leap of faith from this fan base at the minute. It's the other way around. The football club need to give us something, and I know he's new to the club, but I just feel like it was a really ill thought out, for particularly phrase and full interview, to be honest.
Yeah, I've not. I'll be honest. I've not read the full article, but I kind of read one bit where he was saying, "We need the fans. We need local businesses, things like that." And it kind of struck me as a bit like a GoFundMe page. It was really like, "Please help us and donate to charity," kind of thing. I mean, like you said, we are supporting them. There's over 5,000 season ticket holders sold. Season tickets sold. What did we sell last season? 6, maybe, or just
similar. Yeah, no, much less than them. Well,
they can't be met. I'd love to see the stats of clubs that go down from League One, League, that kind of around, not from Premiership, but like League One, League Two relegation, and what percentage of season ticket holders they return. Because we must be, I would have thought, in the highest kind of category. They are a bit tedious, aren't they, the McLaren interview? Because everything is kind of said, is kind of made. I think he's trying to give confidence and kind of trying to say to the fans, I don't know what you're worrying about. Just chill out. This is normal. And then I've seen people in the comments saying it's been a slow transfer window for a lot of clubs. But a lot of clubs haven't only got 12 senior professionals. This has been going on from January, and Lee Clark saying there's going to be a massive changeover. This needs to be done right. And anybody who thinks this is done right, well, I don't agree with him. Let's just say that. But it sounded desperate, didn't it? I think that's kind of where we are.
But McLaren's hamstrung as well, isn't he?
He's desperate, isn't he? He is desperate. He's in the trickiest situation that all the managers have been in for the last 2 years, 3 years. You know, Alex Bruce has kind of been sheltered from that by McLaren, but McLaren is in that tricky situation because he's got to deal with Stewart every day. He's got to deal with him, and he's got to deal with the nonsense from accounts every day, and then he's got to try and sell it to a fan base who've been, I can't think of the right word without swearing, crapped upon for the last 3 years by the board. Been treated like children, been treated like people who don't know what they're talking about. Until it comes around to season ticket time, then obviously the lads, we need you. You know? But McLaren's got to walk that line. He cannot overstep the mark in terms of in any way criticising what's going on above him. So he's in a tricky situation. So I understand why he comes out with his corporate nonsense. I understand why he talks about alignment and all that nonsense. You know, I do. I get it. It's rubbish, and he knows it's rubbish. We know it's rubbish, but you know, it might keep a bollocking off Tony off his back for a while. I don't know. He's in a difficult situation, so I wouldn't want to be too critical about what he says personally. Yet, leap of faith. Fans need to give us a leap of faith.
Well,
I wouldn't say there is a strategy, but if you know, clearly, if you wanted to kind of not pull the wool over fans' eyes, but kind of just appease them a little bit, you would have thought we'd have made a few more signings, a few more, 3-4 more signings, and we're probably not as. This is not how it's going now, and surely they're not stupid enough to not foresee that this is how this situation now was not going to get the reaction it's now getting.
Don't be, and I know you're not, Scott. I know you're not, definitely. But please don't be deluded into the fact thinking that Tony Stewart gives one monkey's what any of the supporters think, because he absolutely does not care. It's perfectly clear, abundantly clear from his interviews, let alone anything else. You know, we are simply cash. That is all we are, as far as he's concerned. So, you know, and that's the balance that somebody like McLaren's got to strike. He's got to filter all that out, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. We ain't going to stay. We mentioned the goalkeeping coach. It's this is a big week for the football club. Really, really big football week. We've got to get the numbers up. This money's got to be reinvested. If we're sitting here on Thursday for the next show and there's still not multiple signings, well, I don't know. We're already in a mess as it is. Yeah. Well, Rob Dix is amazing. The negativity is a big flip from this time 12 months ago. It all became Tony Stewart's fault when on the pitch went sideways. We had a decent squad at top end. League One budget that was mismanaged. I mean, Mick's been on Tony Stewart since Steve Evans came back in to defend Mick on that one. Look, let's see what happens. I don't know. I really know what else to say on the situation at the minute. It's a real mess. But we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens. At least we haven't sacked our manager less than 2 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, that was a wild decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought York were a well-run football club. I don't really know what's happening with that one. Who knows? There's a good manager going. If we get rid of Alex Bruce, apparently there's a good manager going there. So that's something at least.
Bloody hell.
Carl, is Tony coming on, Mick?
Radio silence still. I've emailed again, so we'll have to wait and see.
You did email again?
I have emailed again, yeah.
You?
But look, we all know it's pointless. We all know it's pointless, but I don't even know why I've done it, to be honest. Maybe because I'm just a cantankerous old man now.
Yeah, you are.
I'm going to start writing strongly worded emails to advertiser about litter on Tinsley Viaduct at some point. I know.
Start complaining about buses that you don't use and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Have you seen the state of them?
Let's kind of finish on some sort of positive stuff, though. Alex Bruce. Let's talk about Alex Bruce a little bit. And what's your vibe on him so far, Tom? Because I think that for all the negativity around the football club, I can't speak for all football fans, but I think for the most part, we're all pretty impressed with Alex Bruce so far. I'm still in the camp of I still want to hear a bit more from him. I want to hear him talk more than anybody else, to be honest with you.
Yeah, my vibe on him is a interesting choice of words. I like him. I like him a lot. I like how he speaks. He's direct. He is a little. You can imagine as a player you wouldn't get on his bad side, which is I think a good sign. Whilst also being a little bit soft, I think his man management ability might be quite good. But he speaks well to the press. It'd be good to have like a pre and post match as well as just a post match. But as you say, to hear more from his point of view. But he's a man who looks angry. He's a man who looks frustrated. He's a man who looks like he's been told one thing and given another. But with what he's done so far, with who he's brought in and what he's managed to do with them, he's a good option. He's as Mick said earlier, a young manager who's clearly going to find his way, but with the experience behind him, he's done a decent job so far, without blowing anything out the water yet. So there's still a little bit of reservation behind him, but if he speaks well and so far he's walking the walk, I like him a lot, and it's tough not to get behind him. He's got that stern feel behind him, whilst also seeming warm and he wants the best for the club, and he always talks about how it needs to be a South Yorkshire based club, which I think us as fans have wanted for years, ever since Taylor came in. So he's trying to revert it to a culture that the fans want, and I think inevitably that will translate onto the pitch. So I really like him. I really like him. I just hope that he doesn't get, because one of two things will happen. He seems like the sort of bloke who is going to go to Tony Stewart's office and tell him what he thinks and tell him he needs a budget, and that could go one or two ways. He either gets told to bog off, or he doesn't, and he walks, or he gets sacked because he's spoken up to the chairman. So or the infamous third option, he might actually get what he's asked for. So I really like him, though. He's easy to get behind, and so far for me, he's proved that he knows what he's doing. More than Hamshaw kind of proved it, I think. So I like the bloke. I think we need to get behind him as much as we would do any manager, and especially now because we know that it's sort of a united front against that board presence. So
yeah, I think he's smarter in the press than Hamshaw was. I like Hamshaw, but I think Alex was much smarter in the press wise. Murray says, I just want to touch on this, there were no sausage rolls yesterday. Also, have you seen the Miller Bear Junior Miller's offer as well? £10 more expensive. £10 for a sausage roll, a bottle of pop, and a bar of chocolate. £10. That's a good deal. That's a great offer, apparently.
That's Elior, isn't it?
Yeah.
Garbage. Absolute garbage.
I said we're going to finish positive. I was ruining it there. Sorry.
No, come on. Go back to Alex Bruce. Good man.
Yeah.
Go on then.
He is.
Oh, I've done me 100% behind him. 100%. Oh, absolutely.
Fair enough. Are you the same, Scott? Can you see something there that you like?
Yeah. I've been impressed with all his interviews. I saw a few things from them. Salford documentaries got shared onto my kind of came up on my algorithm where he's doing an half time. I think Carl Robinson's screamed and shouted as he did, and then he does the tactics. And yeah, we're really. I'm quite impressed with him at the minute. Just need to support him, don't we? The ball, the fans will.
Well, the fans will. I think maybe the good thing about McLaren coming is, like I think you kind of alluded to earlier, Mick, I think that will take pressure off Alex Bruce. Matt Amshaw did everything last year, and Steve Evans did everything the year before, so the pressure's all on them. Whereas this year, maybe Alex Bruce is going to be a little bit more protected from that, which is one of the ideas behind the entire structure. This is why big clubs do it, so there's more accountability around the place. Let's see. Let's not get carried away because he ain't got the players to deal with. It can be Pep Guardiola, but you've got 12 players on books, you're going to struggle, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, anything else?
No.
Wonderful. Just in time to play watch this darts final finish. We will be back on Thursday, which will be talking about hopefully some signs. Then we are again scheduled back Sunday, but for some reason we don't have a game Saturday, from what I can tell. Unless I've missed a
Derby, innit?
No, that's Tuesday. That's the Tuesday after.
No.
Yeah.
That's
Tuesday's mid. I'm sure, unless my list is wrong. I'm pretty sure the Derby game is a midweek fixture.
The 4th.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Shall we look? Yeah, Tuesday the 4th. So we have Darlington Tuesday this week, which is not on the fixture list. So unless something's missing from Google, we don't have a game next Saturday, and then we go with Derby on the Tuesday before the first competitive game of the season, which again is not really normal.
Might be behind closed doors game on a Saturday or something.
Yeah, possibly. Or only day that Derby could do something like that. So, yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are at the moment. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We are working on, as we mentioned, the new intro. We may well wait for lead up to the first game of the season. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one between now and then. And if you've enjoyed it, please make sure to go to the Football Content Awards and you can nominate us there. The nomination only up for another week or so for that one. So please do so on there if you haven't done so already. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much, Mick. Thank you very much, Scott. We will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
'Cause we're Miller Men.